I think I'd be there already.
We are back. Alright. So, it is summer in London. Many people have left for the countryside, seeking to avoid the heat and the stench from the river. But some people have stuck around, and those that have stuck around are being rewarded by a very lovely exhibit at the Royal Academy of Art. It's only a few streets away, just off Piccadilly, from the London Esoteric Society. And tonight, they will be entertaining guests with a delightful selection of Egyptian artifacts and, of the era, modern art, inspired by the history and country of Egypt. And as we see, we've entered in through this big open courtyard at the Academy, past the homes of the Linnaean Society, the Astrological Society, and other fine London institutions, to enter into the Royal Academy itself. And here you find on display around the walls these large oil paintings showing a range of landscape scenes and also various, perhaps romanticized or slightly imagined or a little exaggerated views of Egypt, past and present, painted by artists of the Academy and beyond. And wandering around amidst these crowds are various academics, wealthy society folks, and in amongst them is Miss Maddie Carter. And she is currently in conversation with Mrs. Adelaide Morris, the wife of an upstanding Egyptologist at the British Museum, as they wander through the group, sort of taking in the paintings and the artifacts. And Adelaide turns to Maddie and goes, I'm glad to hear you're doing better. We were awfully worried when we heard you'd taken ill, but country air is amazing, isn't it? Very few ills it can't set right.
Yes, very much so. I do believe that I will be taking periodic visits to the country in my future, since I'm significantly better, but I think it might be a reoccurring illness.
No, poor dear.
At least at the moment, I'm well enough to be here and enjoy this beautiful art.
I know. And you can see they've got the paintings. They've also got some glass cases with some actual Egyptian artifacts sat in front of the paintings. Oh my,
I'm going...
Yeah. Oh, no. Go ahead.
I was going to wander over to one of the glass cases and peer into it. Do you know how they were able to find this and bring this over?
You know how it is. Sometimes it's best not to ask too many questions. But no, I think actually Leighton brought most of it over himself. He likes to, as he calls it, holiday in Egypt. He used to spend a good deal of his summers there, which for me strikes as the oddest time of year to spend in Egypt. But well, Leighton does as he chooses, I suppose. But I think since he gained the presidency, he's been a little more tied to London, responsibilities for the academy and all that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And as you wander through this crowd, Maddie, you catch sight of a familiar face across the room. And you see, well, quite a striking familiar face. A face that is hard to forget once you've seen it even once for a moment. Morgan McCrashley. Here at the Academy for, well, reasons of his own. Are you engaging in conversations with the guests, Morgan, or are you more circling through the crowd? What would you be doing?
I will circling into the crowd for a start. Try to see what I can get by hearing, and I have received some tips about imports, and I'm trying to see if I can see some connections with the exhibits. I will of course tap my hat to Miss Carter from far when I see her, and
I'll just nod my head, acknowledging that he saw me and all of that.
and I will continue my tour.
So, Morgan, as you circle around, you hear snatches of conversation. Mostly people being quite impressed by the art or the artifacts, but also some people who don't seem as impressed. You hear someone mutter, "This Egypt stuff, it's just... God, is it ever going to end? You know, it's just bits of rock, half of it, and pointy monuments. Just don't get all the fuss about pyramids. What's so special about them? Well, did you hear about the experiments with razors? You see, pyramids actually have some very exciting properties, and I had..." And as the conversation drifts away, you see another familiar face, Morgan. This time, Mortimer. Has got quite into the realm of Egyptian artifacts recently. And who could pass up attending such an event? What are you doing, Mortimer? What's your sort of modus operandi?
Just meandering around, having a look at various things in glass cases. He's only recently started his studies, so he's being polite to any guests he encounters, not engaging him in conversation as such, just general pleasantries. And if he spots Morgan, he will sort of nod his head to him and start to make his way over to Morgan.
I will salute you, but when you are at 1 meter, I will show you my hands, really friendly, really open, for you to shake it. It's one of the first time I do this, but it's really, you see on my face, I'm smiling actually, and I open you my hand for you to take it.
I'll take your hand and give a firm handshake. Pleasure to meet you again. You're looking much better than the last time I saw you.
Yeah, and I can thank you for this. So really,
it's no problem. Part of my job.
I'm quite happy to see you. It's been a long time.
It has. I've been busy traveling around the continent, looking up independent bookstores, looking to expand my import-export of books, basically. And what brings you here?
Let's say Egypt. I've been quite a fan since our last trip together.
I remember something we may have bumped into that may have had ties with Egypt. I thought it'd be interesting to study, so I have actually taken a basic study of the Egyptian hieroglyphics. I'm not very good at it, but I've started at least. And that's the main reason I'm here tonight.
Never too old to learn something.
Exactly. Well, I'm particularly curious about something, but I'm gonna have to have a look. I'm curious. The Egyptians had unusual death rituals, how they dealt with the bodies, and I'm curious from that as a medical perspective on the treatments they used. But I don't think I'm likely to find anything about that in an art gallery.
You never know. Maybe you can maybe meet someone who has the knowledge.
Very likely. But at least it should be a quiet evening with nothing going wrong at all.
What could possibly go wrong?
Exactly. But sorry, I'll just carry on as I am. But if you need anything, I'll be wandering about somewhere.
Yeah, and if you up to meet up sometime later, maybe not today, but maybe tomorrow or something like that.
We do need to catch up because your friend that you recommended, we'll say the how could I put it? The professional. He helped us with an issue we had. He was very good at what he did, but I shall tell you more about that when we catch up later.
Perfect.
And I shall just take a step back, nod my head, and I'll start to make my way to look at other exhibits.
As you make your way to look at the exhibits, you see the last, well, not the last familiar face, but the last member of the society here this evening. Probably with notebook in hand and much more dressed than he appeared when you first met him. Of course, this is a society event, and on its opening night of a new exhibit, needs a report for a respectable paper. And here to do one such report is Franco Bernice.
So I'd probably be talking to one of the historians around, getting, tidbits on the most famous pieces of history that they have here.
Well, I'm not sure. If you're after proper history, you should come to the British Museum. I have
Sure,
to admit, what's on display here is... don't want to make any insult towards our host, but it's been chosen for its looks rather than historical interest. Take this amulet in this case here. It's not a particularly historically valuable artifact. It just looks very impressive. But this is, I have a feeling this is more about the aesthetic rather than the true history. I mean, some of these paintings, it just doesn't match up with what we're seeing in the murals and in the paintings. And I've been to Egypt, and there's artists. They're artists.
I mean, that's fair, right? As long as there's like a vision and some prospects behind the art, and some people thinking about what they were doing. And I would just try to get like an overview, like picking out particularly beautiful or odd pieces and just describing them, and getting like a rough structure for the article for later, and getting that stuff together, not actually looking at the art or at the people around me, just like poking holes into that person that's there, and see where I'm leading.
Okay, so are you more interested in the artifacts or the art?
I'd probably be more interested in the art, mainly to because that's easier to describe in a paper.
Okay.
But I would not be like exclusively. I would just maybe have like a bit of an implicit bias towards that.
Yeah. As you wander around, there's lots of paintings of markets and market squares and sun-drenched sands. Most of them very beautiful. But I'd like you to make me a luck roll, please.
Luck, okay. Hey, at least there is still
I can't
something
remember.
left.
Has Maddie's met Franco, yeah. So yeah, you take in some lovely art, and as you take it in, you recognise a face you've not seen in a while. That's Miss Carter from the Society. The person whose house you sort of moved into for a while.
Yeah, so I probably should thank her for that. But at the same time, it's been a tough time. So I would finish a couple of sentences and put the notebook away, and then go up to Miss Carter. Hi, hello, Miss Carter. Do you remember me?
Yes, Mr. Bernice. Mr. Bernice, shall I introduce you to Mrs. Adelaide Morris?
Oh,
Mrs. Adelaide Morris, this is Franco Bernice.
Nice to meet you. We've been, yeah. Researching some occurrences together, I think, is the...
Yes. I apologize that I was not able to finish my part of the research. I had taken ill and needed a rest.
That's completely understandable. In the last months, I've got to know that part of the work myself. I can completely understand that, and I hold no ill will whatsoever. I'm especially thankful for the opportunity that you've given to me, which I have now been able to get a better employer for myself, and I would show that I'm now a reporter of a way more reputable paper than I was when we first met, and I'm very thankful for that opportunity, and it's
I am very glad that we were able to assist you in your endeavors and that it has helped you better yourself. If you would like, we can discuss this a little bit more on another day, perhaps. Today,
Sure.
I'm spending with Mrs. Morris here at the museum and observing all of this lovely art.
It's a lot of beautiful pictures. I wish the two of you a happy evening and enjoy the beautiful art.
Thank you.
And I would leave the two be and move along, describe pictures that pick my fancy, and keep doing my work.
Okay. So as Franco continues doing his work, what are the rest of you up to? Is there anyone you particularly want to talk to, or anything in particular you want to look at? Art, artifacts, the carpet? It's a very
I'm
nice
curious,
carpet.
is there a central theme, like a star exhibit for this exhibition, this show?
The central theme is very clearly Egypt, and you can see the highlighted paintings, the paintings given pride of place. There's a Bridgman painting called The Procession of the Sacred Bull Anubis. There's quite a big painting on one wall. And in front of that there's a case with various artifacts. There's a scepter, some pieces of stonework, an amulet. Framed by some Bound Fiend paintings and a couple of Leighton's own paintings, the president of the Academy, who's quite a few Egyptian-themed paintings of his own.
I'll probably have a look at the artifacts, in which case I'm curious whether there's anything not that I'm going to say this out loud or address anyone about this, but I'm curious if there's anything that seems familiar to me in relation to the Black Pharaoh altar, or the Dread Queen Nitocris, I think her name was. But of course, I'm not going to ask this. I'm just going to be nosy if there's anything along those
Yeah,
lines.
looking in the cases. As they're looking in, you can see there's some various pieces of carving and plasterwork clearly taken from tombs. There's also a metal scepter ending in an ankh-like symbol. And this like silver necklace with little jet beads hanging off it. Quite different in style. Looks a lot to the necklace you've seen before.
The necklace I have?
Yes, rather different style to the necklace you still have.
Yeah.
If you want to
anyway.
know anything historical, you can make me an archaeology, history, or Egyptology check, or any other associated history or Egypt skill.
He hasn't got any of those. The closest one he's got is the just the understanding of Egyptian hieroglyphics, the language at the moment, so nothing quite suitable as a historian. But he'll just be perusing the artifacts at the moment.
Okay, as you're perusing the artifacts, I'd like you to make me a luck roll, please, as well. Are you feeling lucky? Lucky indeed. As you wander around. And Morgan, what are you doing?
I'm looking for if I can get an eye on Mr. Layton.
Yes.
See if he's present.
Oh, he's definitely present. He's there talking to guests, showing paintings off, showing exhibits off, happily talking away to everyone he can meet. He is looks to be in his late 50s, very well dressed, bearded gentleman. Like sort of very solid build, broad shoulder. Looks like he spent a good deal of time outdoors. He doesn't look like for an artist, he looks like he's, been out in the sun a fair bit. Got some actual upper body strength.
Okay. I will approach him, but not in an frank manner. I'm going to approach him by looking at his painting and try to listen what he's saying. And I will be, I will use a little of my how I look in my advantage, because most of the people, when they see something who has been disfigured, they're going to look to this person, and I'm going to try to use this by lurking around Mr. Layton to see if I can catch his eyes.
Okay, trying to get his attention. So, yeah, as he is currently engaged in explaining one of his paintings, actually, this is one of my earlier works. I'm not entirely happy about how some of it came out. The drape of the blue fabric I'm quite pleased with, but the stonework, if I could go back and do it again, I'd do things a little differently, but never enough time. Always more things to do and never enough time. And as he kind of stalls for a moment through his sentence, and does not a double take, but he catches sight of Morgan, and it's enough to sort of throw him off his stride for just a moment. Yes, where was I? Yes, I'm very busy with the house at the moment, actually. It's taking up I've been making some extensions and amendments. You should come and see it. I've got some new tilings in the Arab Hall. It's I'm really quite proud of it. Yes, quite proud indeed. No, I don't. Sorry, I don't think we've met. Frederick Layton, president of the Royal Academy.
Oh, really nice to meet you. My name is Morgan D. McRashley. I'm a former military and private investigator, and starting to really like all the stories about Egypt. So here I am. Thank you for the
Fascinating
exhibit.
country, yes.
Indeed.
I'd spend the weather's a bit much sometimes, but I'd love to spend more time there if I could get away from London more often. Yes.
And when was your last time in Egypt?
Not made it back for the last 5 years. Actually, it's been an awful shame.
Must be quite difficult for you. I can imagine.
I've tried to bring a bit of Egypt here to London with the house and with the paintings and with some of the collections. But yes, I do miss it. But it's quite the trek, and I get seasick.
And planning to go back?
If I can find the time, yes. If I can squeeze it in. Just stand. Have you ever been there?
No, I've been to India with the military.
India? Wow.
Yeah, but not Egypt. I'm planning to go there maybe in 2 years or something. So yeah, if you have place in your expedition, I will be gladly to be part of it.
Well, it's not really an expedition. I'm no archaeologist. I'm an artist.
You prefer to be alone?
Well, I'm not adverse to company, but it's more. It's about painting and it's about travel rather than. I can't claim any academic expertise, so to speak.
I can understand that.
I just love the culture. It's a very different place.
What does attract you from Egypt? You speak about culture. What is something that attracts you from their culture, their way of medicine, their architecture, the culture in broadside?
It's, I suppose, a very freer in some ways, but the art and the architecture, and it's beautiful. Just to wander around a market in Cairo and just see how different some of the parts of the world can be. But, sorry, you said you were an investigator.
Oh yeah, I do.
What exactly are you investigating? I mean, is it something the Academy should be worried about?
Not really, except if the military or the police are asking me to investigate, but this is not the case.
Are the police asking you to investigate anything?
No, not for the moment. So you can be quite sure I'm really here on the private matter, so don't worry about it. I'm really
right.
To be honest, I've been reading a little books about the mysteries of Egypt, and all these mysteries catches my eyes and my attention. And why not go to an exhibition and maybe learn a little more about it?
Right. Yes, makes a good deal of sense.
But if you need me to investigate for a research or something,
no investigation required. No, we've not had any trouble here.
My office is not far. My name is Morgan D. McRashley. You can find me anywhere, sir.
McRashley. Yes, I'll remember that. I'll remember that indeed.
So, I wish you a good evening. Thank you for your time.
Good evening.
We'll see each other maybe around.
Yes, if you're interested in the artifact side, I might recommend Dr. Morris. He's quite a renowned Egyptologist. It's his wife too, actually. She's
Dr. Morix is the name.
Dr. Morris, yeah, from the British
Morris.
Museum.
Right. Thank you for the reference. And I will take my leave and tap my hat and salute him and take my leave. And see if I can find this Mr. Morris, of course.
You can see Dr. Morris, actually. He's currently... he's wandered back over to bring some drinks over to his wife and Miss Carter. Here you go, ladies. Are you enjoying the exhibit?
I am quite enjoying it. Thank you for the lemonade. What do you think about some of these pieces? And she's gesturing to the glass cases that Adelaide and her had been viewing.
Oh, I've already said my piece to that reporter. Look, Leighton has chosen stuff, but I'm fairly sure that amulet is a fake. I don't think that... Like... Have you been to Cairo?
No, actually. I wanted to, but I haven't been able to.
For every bit of genuine historical artifact on sale, there's about 5 fakes, and I'm fairly sure that's a modern replica, not ancient. If you lean in really close, you can see that silver pin there. Just see it through the glass. See the end of that? Clearly machine work. That's not ancient. I'd bet you that silver pin was probably made in, I don't know, Birmingham, probably a couple of years ago. There's no way that's genuine.
Maddie will start giggling behind her fan.
But, yes. Well, but hey, it keeps people interested in the field, and when people are interested in the field, that's where funding flows. So I must circulate to accumulate. Funds
We'll
are
be
in dire
here
need.
around.
And enjoy the arts. There's some, and some interesting ones. Have you seen the one down that far end past the drinks table?
I'm going to look at Adelaide, and I don't believe we've been down that hallway yet.
Oh. Quite odd. Didn't like it at all. Anyway, I see, Lord Wallace over there. Really must go. And he goes off to speak to a potential donor.
All right. I'm going to turn to Adelaide, and do you want to see the painting that he seems so upset about?
Yes, I mean, listen, Jay has a weak stomach for something. It's possibly just, one of these pre-Raphaelite ones with the assets on display. He's very much of the opinion that we should be keeping those sort of statues and art in the back, out of view of the museum. But
well, all the more reason to go, right?
But for fear of offending delicate feminine minds.
Well, I should like to go if you do not wish to accompany me.
Oh, I'd like to go see it. Let's go take a look.
Oh, well then let's.
Yes. Yeah, just to clarify, sorry, my voice is not on point this evening. The man talking about the fact that they were fakes was the historian from the British Museum, not the president of the gallery. Just to clarify. Need to get back into my accents. But yeah, Maddie and Adelaide, as you walk over, you see there's a painting sort of tucked away in a corner. You'd have to sort of go out your way to look at it. It's definitely not emphasized. And at first glance, there's nothing remarkable. There's no naked ladies at all in it. It's just a painting of a pyramid surrounded by the sands with some sort of procession going past in front of it. lines and lines of people. As you look more closely, you start to see little details that perhaps slipped your attention at first. You look at the procession. You see the hands of the people are stained red, and looking down you can see they're carrying offering bowls. It looks to be very bloody and macabre in nature, and always as you look, you swear you can see stuff wriggling and always moving in the painting itself. It doesn't seem necessarily static as much as it's out of the corner of your eye. That person take a step forward in the parade. Did that spectator turn to look at me when they weren't looking at me before? And I am going to need a sanity roll, please.
Oh,
Welcome back.
That's a fail. That is a fail right there.
Yeah, so as you are looking at this painting, you are going to lose a point of sanity.
1 point of sanity?
Just the one. Just the one. As you realise there's something just deeply wrong about this painting. And you hear beside you Adelaide give out a little gasp and sort of take a step back and look a little pale, and she glances sideways to you, unnerved, as if she's trying to gauge your reaction as well and see, like,
I'm
how
actually
you're
going to take
responding.
a step closer and see if I can observe it a little bit better.
Yeah, looking more closely, there's definite. You can see that this parade of people, there seems to be a crowd and a parade passing through it, including this figure in a gold chariot holding aloft like scepters as people bow down to them. And you can see that there's a pyramid they're heading towards, and in front of this pyramid, you can see it more clearly now, 2 figures impaled upon stakes. Their bodies split open, entrails spilled out, and crouched down to feast on these entrails are these hunched jackal-like figures with almost like wolf-like features. And the brushwork on this painting is quite impressive as you peer closer. But every time when you're looking at it, you swear just the bits out of the corner of your eye, you would swear stuff was moving. Stuff was not fixed. But whenever you look at it directly head on, it's just paint. It's just paint.
This is quite a curious painting.
Yes, you could say that.
A little bit unnerving, but it seems to be a ritual of some sort.
If you say, rituals are a little out of my area of interest. That's more my husband's line. Funeral rites and all that. You can see that Adelaide's taken a few steps back now. And beneath this painting there's a little plaque that indicates this painting is called The Red Pyramid. It's by an artist named Miles Shipley.
All right. Well, and I'm going to quite abruptly turn my back to the painting and study Adelaide for a moment, see if anything happens after I've turned my back to the painting. And I'll gesture her to, after a moment, to lead the way out of the hallway. Maybe we need a little bit more lemonade.
Yeah, she
For some fresh air.
She fans herself a little. I might just go get a little fresh air. She definitely looks pale and a little green around the edges. She looks very unnerved. But she'll step out to get a bit of fresh air in the courtyard.
And I'll follow her, but a lot more slowly. And a few times I am going to turn around to look at the painting as I'm walking away.
The further you get from it, the less you can see the details of it.
Mm-hmm.
But there's still... Now you know it's there whenever you know it's to your back. So there's this unnerving feeling that something or someone is watching you. Something not right. Like all the hairs on the back of your neck standing on end, and the little sense in the back of your mind screaming danger. So,
Miles Shipley.
Miles Shipley. As you head out into it's actually still light out, and sun's just starting to go down, but it's still reasonably warm out as well. And you probably pass by the others on your way out, but as Maddie steps outside, what are the rest of you up to? Have any of you got any designs or aims other than just appreciating some art and uncovering some smuggling rings?
I'm curious, would I be able to check whether they are fakes? The artifacts I'm looking at.
If you give me a roll, I'd say appraise or something else along those lines would be quite suitable.
I'd go with appraise. 1 second.
Peering into this case, it definitely appears that a lot of the stonework and plasterwork looks to be genuinely Egyptian. But both the amulet and the scepter look a lot newer than if they were genuinely ancient Egyptian artifacts. There's the amulet, definitely you can make out evidence that it looks to be reasonably modern, like made within the last 10 years. The scepter is harder to tell, but they don't look new. They don't look old.
Oh, that's okay. I won't mention that to anyone, but I will. Probably have a wander around. If I've seen the majority of the stuff I wish to, I'll probably start making my way to the exit. But I'll be taking my time because I'm guessing the exhibit's going to be open for some time.
Yeah, are you making sure to view all the paintings?
Of course. Why not?
Well, in that case, as you're circling around, just sort of finishing off, you find yourself standing before the Red Pyramid. And like Maddie before, you notice that something is not right. And I need a sanity roll from you. As you're looking at that painting, firstly you start to notice all the little macabre details tucked away within the larger painting. But secondly, what catches your eye as you're looking at it is it's more interesting and disturbing to you. Like, I think perhaps your intellectual curiosity takes over any matter of disgust but you notice the creatures feasting on the entrails.
Do they look like the flesh eaters of the Nile?
They do. The painting's not big enough to really be certain, but definitely they match up with what you remember from Lucinda, from the creature in the graveyard, and from you. Have you read the Skin book yet?
Not yet. I think I've pretty much read the title and the opening of it to understand what it was, and that's probably as much as I've got through.
In which case, yeah, they remind you of little bits of writing you found, and also, yes.
And I had a leaflet. I had a leaflet, I believe, picked up.
Ah, yes, and the pamphlet on the cults. Though that only included some very perhaps exaggerated woodcuts or lithographs.
If I notice the figure on the chariot, does the scepter look similar to the scepter in the case?
Yes, and there's a scepter with an ankh on it. The figure's holding 2 scepters in the figure in the chariot. One with like an ankh and one with like a crook, almost like a shepherd's crook.
It doesn't look similar to the Black Pharaoh carvings on the altar,
Very similar.
because I believe he had a crook type thing as well.
Yeah, I mean, it would look very similar to other
that's
illustrations
not
you've seen of Egyptian regalia. But yes, the figure on the Black Pharaoh altar had one scepter with an ankh and one scepter which is a crook.
Probably won't linger by this painting for long. I'll move to something else very quickly, but it was rather interesting. I'll probably make a note of the artist, because it's rather strange that someone would paint this. So I'm curious about what I can find out about the artist, actually.
Miles Shipley.
I'm curious. There'd be people to talk to about the exhibit, I'm guessing.
Yes, yeah, there's people around from the president of the academy is there, and various other academy members, and quite a few of the artists, if they are based in London, are there.
I'll see if I could find any information about this Miles Shipley. But I will
Okay.
move away from the painting.
Yes. Are you asking anyone in particular, or just asking around?
Someone who appears to be in some sort of official position to do with the exhibition.
In that case, it would probably lead you over to Sir Frederick, just as he is disengaging himself with conversation with Morgan and kind of moving away from talking to Morgan. You see this solidly built man in his late 50s, very bushy beard, recognisable. You've heard him introduced as being Leighton, and he is the president of the academy.
Yes. Good evening. This is a fine exhibition
Evening.
here.
Yes, thank you. I've been working some time to bring this off. I wanted to get an Egypt display last summer, but alas, we didn't have the funds nor the time. Never enough time.
Have you spent much time in Egypt yourself?
Not recently, but in previous years, yes. I'm a big fan of the
I should
place.
introduce myself. Sorry, I'm Dr. Mortimer Davenport. I think
Frederick Leighton.
Yes. I've only recently had an interest in Egypt. It seems the myths and the stories do seem extraordinary. But,
Well, yes, and the light. Never such beautiful light to paint.
I could imagine. And I bet there are certainly more mysteries to be found. It doesn't seem to have been. Well, I wonder how much is still buried under those sands.
A great deal, I should suppose. A great deal.
I've been having a look at these paintings, and there's one painting which I found rather unusual. It seemed to catch my eye. I believe it's called the Red Pyramid. I was just curious about the artist.
Yes, that one. We've had some mixed reactions to that one, so I did put it in the corner.
I can see why. I'm not entirely sure how I react to that is the best way I could describe my reaction.
But isn't that what art's about, really? It's about the reaction in the viewer, and if art is just decoration, then it's not true art, in my opinion, at least. It should inspire some feeling, whether that be like joy or fear in the viewer of the art.
That is a fair point. Art should get a reaction, otherwise it is just decoration.
Exactly. But yeah, Shipley, he's not here tonight. I don't think he gets out much. He's a strange fellow. Strange indeed. This is his mother over in Chelsea.
I I was just curious because it is a rather unusual painting.
No, yeah, he's got a little gallery over there if you're interested in, buying his art, buying his work. I can look up the address if you like.
Oh, yes, I'd certainly be interested in the address. I'll have a look up this gallery.
It's definitely Shipley. Holbein Muse in Chelsea.
And this is the gallery.
Studio, not really a gallery. Yeah, it's his. Well, if I'm being honest, I'm not sure. Studio might be putting it a little grandly.
A room.
I think he's got more than one room. But, yes, he lives there with his mother. He's got some kind of artist garret up in the attic.
It might be
Not the most friendly of chaps, but keen to sell his art. So, as any artist who needs money is.
Very true. Well, this is certainly a fantastic exhibition. I've learned a great deal. But, yes, thank you. Thank you for that information. I'll would let you get back to the other guests.
Yes, always someone busy for their time. I see Dr. Morris is scrambling for donations again. I'd better make sure that I don't upset too many of the guests. Thank you. It was very nice to meet you.
Good evening, and I shall bow my head and step back and make my leave.
Yes. So you're making your leave. McCrashley or Franco, is there anything else you want to be doing at the exhibit before you leave?
Well,
And of course, are you doing a thorough inventory of all the paintings?
I mean, point one, I'm probably gonna notice that there's a suspicious amount of Esoteric Society members there, so I'd probably grab either Morgan or Mortimer and who I'm getting first, and be like, Morgan? Morgan, I just wanted to ask something.
Good evening. Good evening to you too, my little Franco.
Yeah. Is there something going on? Because I saw Maddie, I saw Mortimer talking to, and you're here.
You're not happy to see me. It's 4 months we haven't seen each other. You don't say hello.
I'm sorry. I was just, whenever we engaged for longer, stuff got really weird really fast, and I was just asking if there's stuff happening or if that's just people liking Egyptology and I'm worried for nothing. I'm sorry. Good evening, and hope you're having fun, but
for the moment you don't have to worry about something. It's just I think we just at the right place at the right moment, and about Egypt, just with this word Egypt, like
yeah.
How can we not be here?
True. Understandable. Yeah, I was just maybe I'm just overreacting. It's been a rough couple of weeks, and I'm just calming down somewhat. But hey, stuff's working out. Got a lot of descriptions. There's nothing happened from looking at the pictures, so everything's fine. So I might just be worried for nothing.
You might.
Yeah.
But better be sorry. Better be a little. Better be a little bit on your guard. It's always good, but don't be too much. Sometimes you can just enjoy the night,
Yeah. Enjoying the night. Want to grab a pint afterwards?
Of course.
I'm gonna ask. Miss Maddie is with her friend here, but I'm gonna ask Mr. Davenport as well, and then we'll, can talk about all the olden times, like 4 months ago.
We can catch up for all the months.
Yeah.
Later. No, okay. It's fine for me. Let's see if Doctor is around.
Yeah, and I'll go and ask Mr. Davenport.
While we are looking for Mr. Davenport, I will try to see if I can see Mr. Morris. I will not talk to him tonight, but I want him to have a good look at me. I want him to see me. So if I can,
Dr. Morris, the historian, yeah.
Yeah. So he's the one that has been pointed to me about artifacts. So I want him to see me. So I will, and even if I'm going to be near him, I will salute him, say, "Good evening, Mr. Morris," and I will just go past and go.
And as you go past him, you hear a mutter behind you, "Dr. Morris."
And I will just go. I just leave like pretending that I didn't heard anything about it.
Yeah, and he gives a little shake of his head, and he goes to collect his wife, actually, who's gone outside, and goes, Miss Carter, do you need an escort home this evening? Or do you have a carriage waiting?
I believe I have a carriage waiting, so I should be fine, and I am actually due to be leaving shortly. I want to get home before sunset.
Yes, I should take Adelaide home with us. Yeah, it's been an interesting evening, but I think we should both be heading off. And as they part ways, as the sun is starting to get very low in the sky, the exhibit is sort of winding down. People are heading off to other evening events, and the three gentlemen sort of probably you said you were heading off. I know Mortimer said he was heading off, and Morgan, after eyeballing people and making them very uncomfortable, you said you were heading off. Was that it? What did I miss here?
I think Franco and Morgan were going to go have a pint.
Yes.
And they were going to invite Mortimer. Maddie was just going to go home.
Yeah. Because the three gentlemen are outside. At about time you see a familiar carriage pull up, actually. A familiar coach. And Bo, the coachman, kind of gives a second, gives a double take when he sees the three. And he looks around, and you see this look of relief on his face when he sees Miss Carter.
Oh, I'll wave to the driver as he arrives because I'll recognise him.
Yeah.
Just a bit of a salute and a nod. Just, I haven't actually spoken to Miss Carter this evening so far.
No,
so
well, this is your chance. The carriage is just pulling up.
She's waiting for the carriage to pull up properly. I'll make my way over. Good evening, Miss Carter. How are you? It's been some time.
I'm doing better than I was the last we saw. Dr. Davenport, it was a pleasure to see you, hopefully.
It has been a busy and strange period of time. I think that is the best way to put it. But
I hope things were situated since last I left.
things seem to have been settled. But it's probably best that I give you more information at a later place and time.
You are always welcome in my home.
I have actually borrowed a book of yours, I should mention. I noticed you had an extensive library which covered a lot of Egyptian information. I've borrowed one of the more basic books on hieroglyphics I've been starting to study. So I should really return that. I've just finished that whilst I was travelling around the continent, so I'll certainly be dropping that in the near future.
Wonderful. I'm glad that we were able to provide some assistance with what you are interested in. Did you manage to get a look at all of the paintings?
Yes, I did. There was one which
Was quite unsettling.
we probably need to discuss that painting because I recognised something about it. In fact, I recognised several things about it, so it's probably important that we speak about that.
Oh, I didn't recognize anything about it, but it seemed to move on its own.
There is that. I have information on the artist, actually. He has a small studio, which I was considering paying a visit, perhaps tomorrow. The artist doesn't seem to get out much, but he does have an interest in selling his paintings.
Well, then we shall inquire after his paintings and possibly procure one.
It is starting to get dark now. I suspect you probably wish to make your way.
Yes, I shall take my leave now. Pleasure to see you. And does she see Morgan and Franco a little bit? She'll wave goodbye at them, and then she'll get into the carriage and head home.
When she leaves in the carriage, good evening, Miss Carter.
And as the carriage pulls away, and as the three gentlemen prepare to head to the pub, I believe. I think
Seems
this
to be that way.
is as good a time as ever to go to break, assuming I haven't accidentally deleted all the mid-roll footage over the last 4 weeks. Wait and find out. It's going to be we'll see you in 10 minutes' time either way. And we are back. So, as Maddie returns home to evade the darkness, the three gentlemen of the society pay a visit to a local pub. Let's call it the Red Lion, because there's always a Red Lion. And it's, I think, get some beer, get a table, and, well, over to you.
So how's your time been since we last saw each other? I mean, stuff went kinda haywire. I mean,
Well, that's one way to put it. Matters got resolved. Not to probably the best ending, but anyhow, we probably need to catch up with Miss Carter tomorrow. There's a matter I wish to discuss with her about an unusual painting that was on the show. Or on display, I should say, really.
so there was weird stuff going on there.
Yes, a painting that seemed to move. But that is best to probably be spoken in daylight tomorrow.
Yeah.
But
So-
other than that, everything's fine. If you overlook the incident of 4 months ago, everything's been great.
I mean, there's nothing happening in between that I was just, not there for. Nothing, just normal life without any. My luck's abysmal. But yeah, I got, a better job, better pay, better living standards within like 4 months. That's a thing.
It is.
Right? So I guess that's good.
You are certainly looking better and seem to be doing better.
Yeah, I mean, I'm eating more regularly, so I guess that's kind of showing.
So I don't have to keep bringing you sandwiches.
True.
Is he still climbing the trees?
I mean, not usually, but I kind of did 2 months ago for a scoop, but not as frequent as we did when. But yeah,
Everything changes. I've spent a bit of time traveling around Europe, discussing unusual matters with some academics in some of the cities I've been visiting. Just building up a bit of an information network as such, as well as trying to, I suppose, improve my business by reaching out to other book dealers who may buy or sell books in case they're after copies I have, if they have copies I'm after, and so on. Trying to build up a bit of a network along those lines, some sort of formal business, but it's more, I suppose, it's been a nice 4 months, and trying to avoid too many people. Yes, you know exactly. I'm expecting someone to speak to me about that at some point. I'm just avoiding, but we probably best talk about that tomorrow.
Yeah. Morgan, how's your month been? Relaxing?
Relaxing is not really the word I can use, but I took a little time to recover this time. Even with the good help of our doctor here, it took me a little time to recover this time. So, but you know me. After this, after my recovery, I started lurking around, and my steps brought me to the exhibition of today.
Any big, any big steps in your investigations?
No big steps, but two names came out. One who brought me to the exhibition, and one I learned during this exhibition. So maybe, I don't know for sure because I don't know the people, but I'm planning to take matters a little further and to investigate a little more. But Miss Layton and Mr. Morris saw the two names that came out, and that I'm trying to learn about.
Layton and Morris. Okay, those were two of the painters, weren't they?
I don't think Morris is in the painting. He's more like a specialist in artifacts and everything. Layton is one of the artists, indeed. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just flipping through my notes, and I'm probably finding Layton. I'm not sure if I find Morris because I skipped his picture, which is probably.
Dr. Morris was the historian from the British Museum you were talking to.
Okay, yeah, then he's in there as well. Yeah, sure. Yeah, I met the Dr. Morris. He was kind of disparaging about the historical value of that exhibition, but if I ain't got anything to write, I might make it like a scandal that they are just trying to grab some funds and just putting up fake exhibits.
There were a couple of items that seemed to be a bit more modern than they should have been.
So they are actual fakes.
I don't
Just gonna
think
write
they're as
that down.
old as the rest of the items. I'm not an expert on the topic. I couldn't tell you how old they were. I could tell you that they were certainly more modern than everything else there. I believe the scepter was one such piece, and keeper, I think the pen or something. No, the amulet.
Amulet.
That
That word I can't say right now. Amulet.
Yes, that's the one. The amulet and the scepter seem to be more recent. They might not be fakes as such, because it depends on. It could be they are from Egypt. I'm not much of an expert on it, but I could tell you that they are more modern than the rest of the pieces. You'd probably require an expert to be able to tell.
Leighton told me he was building on his estate. He's building a little part of his house and try to collect different artifacts and different artifacts from Egypt and everything he can gather from Egypt. But he's not a specialist, and that it can be dangerous. A person who is an artist but not a specialist. You know, there are two types of smugglers, or two types of people who are trying to get some artifacts. Some people, some types, who know what they are bringing in, and they know the damage they can do. And there are other types. They don't have a clue about it. It just brings things in, things that can be dangerous for themselves and for the people around them. I still don't know.
If we're looking at what we've, experienced, I mean, as a normal person, you wouldn't assume a piece of rock to be dangerous, right? But you never know. You never know. Oh.
I should really. I'm still waiting to unpack. I've only arrived in London this morning, in fact. So I shall probably have to call this an evening and make my way home. And but I think it'll be worth all of us meeting up at the London Esoteric Society tomorrow morning to catch up a bit on things that we haven't had a chance to discuss.
Sure. I'll be
unusual things.
I'll be finishing that and then I'll go home too. So sleep well.
Good night. And
Good night.
I'll make my exit and head home.
Okay. So as night falls and you all head home to your respective beds, I am going to ask some rolls. I am going to be asking for power rolls here of everybody except Morgan. Now these are not all necessarily for the same things, but Maddie, as ever, going through with the power roll. If you can rely on anything, it's for Maddie to lose all her sanity and somehow have, the strongest mental wards against any kind of mental intrusion. Unfortunately, I don't think attributes get a D10 increase on the critical, but that's still very impressive.
That is the second time Maddie's got a one.
The second time she's had a critical power roll. Somewhere out there is some kind of eldritch horror with a nosebleed. Didn't know what it was getting into. But yes, you all pass the night peacefully without any intrusions by any form of person, creature, or visiting entity. And the next morning, you say you're heading over to the society. So you head over to the fashionable address on Grosvenor Square, and the current home the London Esoteric Society.
Yay.
And, well, Maddie, James will help you prepare tea. Well, he will prepare tea for your guests and anything else you should wish. Because, I mean, Mortimer said he was coming over, right? So.
Mm-hmm. And I would expect the other two as well, even if they don't arrive. I'll have extra settings for them.
They always run as 3, miss.
In the library, please.
Yeah. You know, whilst you were gone, Miss Carter.
Yes.
Well, you see, you and Irene, you left me instructions to help the gentleman if they needed it, right?
Yes.
Yes. And I did. I just, yeah, I just thought you ought to know that, you know, the kind of stuff that you and Irene get mixed up in?
Mm-hmm.
They got mixed up in even more of that. Even after you Irene had left, and they kept coming back covered in, like, blood or soot, or blood and soot. What I wanted to do, I didn't want to overstep, but do you want me to just carry on letting them into the house, miss, or?
That is fine, as needed in regards to our researches and business. That should be fine.
Yes, just wanted to make sure, Miss Carter. I'll get the tea on. I think I heard the door. And who would be first to arrive? Or are you all arriving around the same time?
I'd probably be arriving what would be a normal time businesses would open, really. Something that seems a reasonable time, not too early, just. So I don't know if that would be first or not. But I do actually live quite close.
Let's say you all arrive within a few minutes of each other. Save on calculations, and you make your way through to the library, where tea is ready, and Maddie is waiting. And by now you're very familiar with the house. This is, like, you've been here a lot.
We have added items to the library.
Yes, you have added items to the library.
Relics to the library as well.
Yeah, Maddie, when you came back, you'd noticed a couple of things in cupboards and books that you're fairly sure you weren't there before.
I will be looking at them and trying to figure out what they are.
I can't remember
when they come in.
Yes. What had you added to the library collection? Anything notable?
It was a stone with some stuff on it.
Something to do with the snake person.
Ah, yes, it's a large chunk of solid-looking stone with some strange sigil carved in its surface. Not a hieroglyph or any language you're familiar with.
I'm not sure he would have left any of the papers there. But having said that, no, he would have brought the almanac regards with the... Oh, no, actually, I think he would have taken that with him because he would have wanted to make a bit of a more of a study of the book he had regards to stars, I think it was, wasn't it? It was the stars, the positions of the moon and stars and all that sort of thing.
Well, in which case, the large chunk of stone is probably the very notable thing that Maddie is examining as you enter.
Good morning, Miss Carter. How are you today?
Well, considering. Painting was quite disturbing. What is this?
Oh,
this wasn't here when I left.
I believe Franco and Morgan are the best people to discuss that. It was some matter to do with a snake person.
Did I hear my name? Oh, hi. This Everything all right?
There's just new items added to the library,
Oh,
and I was curious what it was.
This was, I think, a ward or something that these people put around that house of that person that we were supposed to help investigate these weird people.
The Earl, it was an Earl.
Yeah, I think it was an Earl. Yeah,
We
and
made a payment to the society as well.
right. And this person had that other person in his house, and they were doing weird stuff. And one of that weird stuff was multiples of those stones around the house. And because I didn't want them to do whatever ritual they did, I just took some of them and hid them. And that made them really angry. And then it transformed into a snake person, and Morgan killed it. We don't really know what these are, but most of them are destroyed, and we just kept one so we can, find check if we ever encounter that again.
Research it again. Okay.
Exactly. So this should be safe, and there should be nothing working because every other stone that is similar to those is broken. We destroyed the rest. We just took that one for, as a sample. Yeah. So what was that yesterday?
Who had a chance to look at the painting of, I think it's called the Red Pyramid?
The Red Pyramid by Miles Shipley. I did.
I can't remember that I did.
Well, one of the figures in the painting reminded me of the Black Pharaoh. It reminded me of the carvings on the altar. There were some similarities. I couldn't be certain of it, but there were a couple of creatures in the painting which looked similar to the
Jackals?
werewolf, jackal-headed type creatures, similar to the thing we encountered in Highgate and then since.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the painting looked like it was a ritual, or the beginning of a ritual, or seemed a sacrifice of sorts.
I thought it was unusual someone would paint that, because wouldn't they have to imagine or have seen it to have painted it? It's perhaps in a dream or a vision.
Yeah, that is not unheard of. You were there when we were dealing with the cube, correct?
I was, yes.
I imagine it would possibly be something of that nature, without it being exactly that nature.
I should provide you a bit more information as well, Miss Carter. There was the creature that was encountered in Highgate.
That terrified me and caused me to flee.
I believe that creature was, I just need to check my notes, may have been Arabella Vane. As in Earl Grey's wife. It seems there was some sort of family curse amongst the Vanes, where when a woman would reach a certain age, this curse would happen as such. I don't know if it was only affecting one person of the family, or the eldest, or the youngest, or all of them. Once they reached a certain age, they would transform into said creature. It turned out in the Vane estate, they had a cell beneath the property where they held it captive, until, of course, it dug its way out and escaped. It turns out as well that Earl Grey may have been involved with something known as the cult of the Black Pharaoh. He was involved with something to do with a necklace of some dread queen from Egypt. Nitocris, I think the name may have been, but I'm not 100% sure. It turns out he may have been in charge of said cult of the Black Pharaoh in London. He has now passed away. It's
just a moment, and she's going to actually reach into her pocket in her dress and pull out Nameless Cults and look through the contents. And what did you say, the Black Pharaoh?
Black Pharaoh.
The Brotherhood of the Black Pharaoh is here, and I'm going to flip to that page.
I'm going to enter at this moment.
It's a whole chapter.
I will flip to the first page. What other information? You said that it was a curse on the family, the Vane family, or
I believe it was the Vane family, but it seemed to only affect women or females of the family. I suspect it was once they reach a certain age, they would transform into said creature once they were touched by moonlight, because that's when it all started to go wrong. I believe initially, well, it's difficult for me to discuss this as such because Earl Grey, you may not have realised, he was a godparent as such for my sister and I. After our parents had passed away, he was involved with ensuring we were looked after and finished our education and carried on. So it's rather... I'd actually spoken with him a couple of times since, trying to find some information when I believed he was tied in with something esoteric, and he wasn't forthcoming. He wanted me to stay out of this investigation, but I continued pursuing it, just avoiding his notice, and then effectively all hell broke loose. It turned out he may have done a ritual initially to try and save Arabella. The ritual may have gone wrong, and he was trying to do another ritual to cure Lucinda Vane. From what he said at the time, it was he was appealing to a greater power. He had gone to a higher power thinking he could invoke a higher power than was involved with the initial curse. But, well, things didn't go so well. And I suspect more than likely the entities in said curses aren't completely honest, and I believe that may have been the problem first time round, because the creature we encountered in Highgate, I believe, may have been different from the one that Lucinda changed into. I'm not sure. Keeper, was it the same or similar?
It looked rather similar from what you saw.
Okay.
Yeah, so whilst you're poring over this book, Morgan, did you say you joined them in the library?
Yeah, but I'll stay silent because I didn't want to interrupt them.
Yeah, so Maddie, you can see there is an entire chapter dedicated to the practices and beliefs of the cult of the Black Pharaoh in your book.
All right. I'm looking for anything with a reference to a curse or blessing of shifting shape, moonlight, or anything of that nature.
Nothing of that nature in there. It's all more about the ritual and worship of some ancient god, this ancient lord they call the Black Pharaoh, and the book is more about elements of cult practices and modern beliefs, and the fact that there still is belief out there, and there still are perhaps the author of the book, the author of the original German book that was translated, seems to suggest that there's still an active Brotherhood of the Black Pharaoh operating around Cairo and other parts of Egypt, and perhaps even around the world. He also starts to wildly draw connections that it's part of some larger conspiracy, that there could be other cults involved, and suggests a connection to the cults of ghouls and followers of Queen Nitocris.
Okay.
And I'd like to give you... Roll me a D100 here. And if there's anything more specific you can pick out.
'Tis a 16?
Yes. So there's no mention of any kind of curses or moonlight, but there is mention to jackal creatures being associated with the cults of ghouls, it calls them, and it makes a mention of a forbidden French book that was banned and destroyed back in the early 18th century. This French book detailing the cults that the author of this book was not able to get a copy of because all copies were supposedly destroyed, which details the practices of the cults of ghouls, otherwise known as the corpse eaters, and their extensive practice of all things beginning with the phrase necro, necromancy, necrophagy, and of course necrophilia. You know, you've got to get the full set.
Okay, I am taking notes, just major notes that I'm finding in this chapter that I deem is okay.
Yeah, it refers to ghouls as bestial corpse eaters.
Okay. In that case, I'm going to close that book up after I've taken the notes, stuck it back in my pocket, go into my other pocket, and pull out Book of Monsters.
Are you just carrying... These are quite large books. Are you just carrying these around with you?
All the time.
All the time. Like weighing
when
you
I'm
down.
sleeping,
like essentially
they go
walking
into my
around
safe.
with like 2 large hardback books in your pockets.
Yes. Unless
Okay.
I'm going somewhere where it's possible that they might fall out. Or if I'm sleeping, they do go into the safe that's in my room.
Okay, in which case, give you another D100 as you start to pore over this other book. And I believe... Have the
Monsters
rest of
and
you
Their Kind.
seen another copy of... You've seen Nameless Cults before, I believe. The other copy of it? I can't remember. I'm losing track of who's seen which
There was
books.
the original copy. We had an original German version.
You had a German version, and I believe by the end of it you had 2 English translations as well, but I think Lady Irene might have one of them.
Yeah.
That is the copy I saw. I saw Lady Irene's copy
Yes.
because I created a number of forgeries of it.
Yes, you did. So yeah, you have had a look through this book before, but this new one that Maddie's pulled out is new. Like,
To you.
this is a much more chaotic, jumbled tome. And
Strangely enough, which book was this? The next
Monsters and Their Kind.
one? The one I was told to look for.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's okay.
And this it is a handwritten folio. This is not a printed book. This is handwritten, and you can see it looks very old and very valuable. And she's carrying it around in her pocket. Unfortunately, it doesn't have anything on the topics you're looking for. At least if it has it, you're not able to easily find it. This book has no index, no contents, and apparently little order to most of its entries.
Oh, I think I know what I'm doing soon.
Yes. If you want to ever give it full study, with several weeks, you can get a full study of it. But also, if you want to just think back to your own knowledge, you can make me a Cthulhu Mythos roll on all this, because
I think I should. I think I've read through it once before. But I might not remember what pages anything was on. So yeah. Mythos.
And what question are you trying to answer here? What are you trying to find out?
I am trying to find...
what are you trying to remember?
I am trying to remember if there was a beast that changes from a human during the moonlight. as was determined, because that's what we were talking about just now, was people turning into a certain beast, the curse, and all of that.
I would think possibly the superstition of werewolves might be well known.
Yeah, werewolves are well known, so anything to do with werewolves, essentially you can consider your characters to have knowledge of those concepts to do with werewolves and the full moon and silver.
Right, but this seems like it might be a little bit different.
Oh,
Not
yes,
exactly
yes.
werewolf, so...
Please, give me a Cthulhu Mythos roll.
And that is a fumble?
Werewolves. It's definitely werewolves. No, I'll leave it to your judgment, but it's all ringing a big werewolf-shaped bell in your brain.
Yeah.
Like moonlight. Way Mortimer's describing these jackal-like, almost jackals, wolves. This sounds like a werewolf.
I'm not finding anything at the moment in this book, and I'm going to close it gently and put it back into my other pocket. But it very much seems like some variation of werewolf. There are likely other beasts that have inflicted their curse of a similar nature onto humans. That might explain, the not wolf appearance.
That sounds about right. There was another matter, well, along the same lines. We may have found the building that was being used by this cult of the Black Pharaoh. They had a strange black altar. We found there was a giant armored serpent that was pitch black that was killed by Morgan. And it was quite a tough fight. And with the assistance of a specialist, said building has collapsed in on itself, making the site unreachable. I don't think we could have done much about the altar. It seemed to be sucking in light from around it. Any lights, like candles that we brought nearby, would just be blown out. But at least the site is unreachable. But whilst we were investigating the site, we found a cupboard full of jars of, we'll say, human remains, human parts in storage. I had all those sent to Dr. Peterson because I thought he would be the best person to examine those. I have not actually spoken to him since, but he seemed quite excited when I was bringing the jars over to him. So that could be tied in with this weird corpse-eating cult, but it is a rather unusual set of circumstances. But this artist, as I said, he's got a studio we could probably visit and try and see. Pretend to be interested in his work, perhaps an interest in purchasing some of his artwork.
Yes, that was something I was thinking of last night, so that we can observe it and see what it actually does. Perhaps in the indirect observation, as that's when it seemed to be most active.
At the edge of vision, sort of when you weren't looking at it directly, it seemed to be on the corner of your eye.
Correct. Indirect observation.
So if if you're hiding, right, you move if the person's not directly looking, so you would see it out of the corner.
Mm-hmm.
I'm curious what other paintings he has.
I'm curious. I am very curious. I think I am also concerned, curious and concerned, because if the painting is moving when it's not in your direct line of sight, is it possible that something can come out of it?
Especially if no one's looking at it.
Hmm.
So basically, this night, now that it's in a museum and people left and there's nobody looking at it, I'm just getting paranoid again.
Mr. McCrashley, do you have anything you'd like to add or are concerned about?
Concerned. I am concerned. We barely escaped last time we we were in contact with the Black Pharaoh. So yeah, I am concerned. And I am concerned that a person like Mr. Layton, what's his name? Yeah, the painter, brings some artifacts in the country without even know what these artifacts are. Of if he knows, he hides it quite well.
Well, from what I understand, is a good half of the artifacts that he had were replicas. They weren't actually the artifacts. Now, the painting sounds like Miles Shipley. He sounds as if he's an Englishman, at the least. So it's likely that it was painted here and not brought in illegally of any sort.
Let me ask you something. I know it's possible because I've seen it, but would it be possible that the fake artifacts are hiding other artifacts? An amulet, who is not an amulet, but in the fake amulet there is something else hidden.
Oh, quite likely.
Something dangerous hidden and something that doesn't look dangerous.
I mean, if you're like in this thing, an amulet is not something that's not dangerous, right? So if there's somebody that knows about that stuff, an amulet wouldn't be where I hid something. And if it's people that don't know about that stuff, wouldn't be looking for it. So, not sure. Do we have a way to contact that person, that painter?
I have his address.
So,
Well, I have the address of his studio, sorry. I believe he might live or stay at his mum's. I believe he has a studio there. I have an address for his studio.
I mean, we could go take a look at that and, see where it leads us.
Well, we have all day.
James, would you have the carriage prepared?
Of course, miss. I'll go speak to Bo.
Thank you.
Anything else needed once they get the carriage ready? And you see him glance nervously around at the four gentlemen.
No, I don't think we need anything else
Okay,
as
good.
of yet.
Good.
I mean, if we don't need anything else, that's hopefully a good sign, right?
Well, this is just an initial visit, just to determine if this is something that we actually need to be concerned about.
Yeah. Once James leaves the room, I'll mention, yes, we have probably shocked James and some of the states we've returned here. I believe on one occasion, Franco fell down a hole in Highgate in the cemetery, and beneath where all the bodies were. And we had to follow him to recover him from beneath the Vane estate, and our clothes were not the most pleasant when we crawled out there.
I had to burn them.
There's unpleasant things found when you're, I suppose, corpse remains, rotting remains, and that sort of thing. Yes. And James has put up with a fair bit whilst you've been.
Well, I
recovering.
mean, he's assisted in making sure that I personally have not passed away on the premises more than once.
He's very professional.
He might need a vacation too.
Yes. Perhaps that's... Yes, I think we'll let him have a vacation. A holiday. For a few weeks.
The carriage is ready, miss.
Thank you.
Well then, let's be on our way.
So, it's a short trip over, heading west towards Chelsea. So I'm not sure, even with my now extended map size, I'm not sure if I made it as far as Chelsea. But it is a fairly well-to-do area of West London. Not quite well-to-do all the way down to the river. Like, it's... The Belgravia part is very, very fancy, but as you get down towards the actual river and Vauxhall Bridge and that sort of area, it has gone a little downhill. But pulling up outside, you can see you're in this row of terraced brick houses, these 2-story brick houses, in some need of repair. Some of them. And lots of the houses around here are shopkeepers, tradesmen, but also a lot of artists and poets. There's a certain bohemian flair to the area. And it's quite quiet at this time of the morning. Not busy, everyone's still in bed. But what you can see is this dingy looking red brick house with the windows barred and locked and tightly, like, curtains drawn. It doesn't look even particularly lived in. It looks a little bit derelict. But this is the address you were given for Miles Shipley.
Shall we knock and see what response we get?
I mean, sure. Franco puts the his door opener away again.
Yes, I'll just knock on the door.
There's a wait, and then you hear footsteps coming down the stairs, and just 1 minute. And the door opens to reveal this quite hunched over little old lady. She looks probably to be 70s. She's got white hair, this stooped frame, and she looks up at you and goes, "Hello, can I help you?"
Good morning. We've been given this address as the address of an artist called Miles Shipley. I think we recently saw a piece of his work and we're interested in
Yes, yeah.
purchasing something of his.
That's my son. He won't be up yet, though, but if... are you here to buy paintings?
believe so. I'll just have a look at my companions. I believe we recently saw one of his paintings on display and heard that he had a number of paintings, so we were curious and wanted to inquire about possibly purchasing one or two or perhaps more. Who knows?
My question here, if you're being genuine, please make me a persuasion roll. If you are being deceitful, please make me a fast talk roll.
Could I do a charm roll because I am being
Or
genuine?
make me a charm roll if you're being charming.
Can I assist?
I don't think he needs it.
Nope.
But Mortimer can be very suave when the need calls for it.
Helps in my line of work.
Oh, okay. Come in. Oh gosh, it's an awful lot of you. 1, 2, 3, 4. Right, 12. Come on in. Miles! Get up! There's buyers here. Sorry, the hall's a little small, and she ushers you into this narrow, dark hallway. And then starts essentially
I am
herding you
going
up
to
the
grab
stairs.
onto the nearest arm of any of the gentlemen with me and possibly squeeze a little tight. So whomever is closest, they might have some bruises on their arm.
Yeah, got strong arms.
As you're ushered in, what you notice is there is a smell to this place. It's this cloying, almost body odor smell. It's deeply unpleasant and impossible to ignore. A strange scent as Bertha ushers you up the narrow staircase, up the second floor and up into the attic above.
Can we tell where the smell seems to be strongest?
It seems to just
Or is it just general?
pervade the house. Yes.
But like normal body odor, maybe a lot, but
It wouldn't surprise me if Franco has lived in places that have smelt particularly bad.
Make me a natural world check, Franca.
okay.
I think that's the best thing for determining.
Maddie has pulled out a fan and is
Who knows?
trying to move the arrow away from her face.
There's something familiar about it, but you can't quite place it, Franca. It's not dead rats, though.
Well, I mean, vaguely smells like body odor. It's gonna be fine. Maybe he ate something bad. Who knows?
And Bertha ushers you upstairs into this attic. You notice she draws out a key and unlocks the door before ushering you in. And the first thing you notice about this room is that it is dark. The windows in the ceiling have been painted over with black paint, and the only light is coming from a kerosene lamp that Bertha lights. It's making this whole place this gloomy, darkened attic. And with it, you can see there are there's an easel leaning up. There's some pencil sketches pinned around, a table holding brushes and paints, palettes, and various finished paintings leaned up against the wall. And yes.
Maddie's going to turn to the lady. If you would not mind, would it be possible to get another lamp up here or anything?
Oh yes.
Should we decide to purchase one? It will be in full display during bright locations.
I believe we might have. I believe we might have a spare lantern on the carriage.
Oh, I've got a spare one downstairs. I've got to go fetch Miles anyway, so I'll fetch a couple more lanterns and some candles or something whilst I'm gone. I'll be back in just a tick. Don't you worry. And Bertha heads back downstairs to fetch Miles.
Search the room.
We could
Yeah.
get an extra lantern from the carriage if you'd feel comfortable with that, Miss Carter.
She said that she was going to bring some, and I've moved directly underneath or right next to the lamp
Kerosene
that
lamp.
is lit.
Okay, so Maddie's headed a little close to the lamp, and Franco is starting already to search the room. I said you can see there's an easel, there's paintbrushes, paints, paintings lent up against the wall, and one cupboard. Looks to be locked. I can say the most notable thing in this room are the paintings leaned up against the wall. Looks to be oil paintings on a variety of topics. Are you looking at them whilst you search the room, Franco?
I have the suspicion that I don't want to look at those paintings, especially since the others already told me what they saw with the first painting. But noticing that the cupboard is locked, I might want to undo that and try to, take a look at what's inside.
Okay, roll me a locksmith roll. Whilst Franco is picking the lock, what are the rest of you doing? And you can hear down below, like, Bertha's muttering echoing up, and shuffling and movement.
8 points of luck. That's fine.
Okay, so it's taking Franco a little while, but he seems to be getting the cupboard undone. What are the rest of you doing?
I'm standing in the light, in the circle of light, and
I'll probably try and turn the lamp up a bit if that's possible to make it brighter. And I'll have a bit of a search around. I'll have a look around at the paintings.
Okay.
Certainly have a look at one to see if it's similar to the other ones.
Yeah,
Or the other one, I should say.
and just... Morgan, what are you doing just before I get on the results of these various activities?
I will. I think I will do a spot hidden. Try to do a spot hidden to see if I can. There is something.
What are you looking for?
The walls are already dark. I will try to look at the walls to see if it was to cover some other paintings under it. You see, like markings and everything. Maybe
The walls are just plain painted. It's like a sloped ceiling, sloping down to the floor with these black painted over windows and these paintings lent up against the wall.
It's not to cover something. Is that I can't see some older paintings underneath it?
No, the paintings aren't on the walls. They're lent up against the walls. They're like loose canvases lent up against the walls.
Okay.
And there look to be about 6 paintings lent up. And they are, of course, far more detailed than the examples I'm showing you here. But this gives you a vague impression of what each of them are. Each of them has what their names sort of tacked on a bit of paper on the bottom. And you see the first of them appears to be another Egyptian-themed ordinance, perhaps a continuation of the same parade you saw in the Red Pyramid. It's entitled The Pharaoh's Return, and shows a continuation of this macabre parade, now parading along sort of the banks of a river. Strange assorted imagery. The second painting appears to show a group of figures dancing around a fire in a darkened wood under the sickly light of a moon. That one is entitled The Goatwood, and you can see this vague shadowy shape starting to rise from the centre of the flames. The third painting is entitled The Offering and appears to show a young woman with blonde hair standing in water, looking out over it appears to be a river or a lake. And the next shows a strange cloaked figure and it's entitled The Visitor. And then the last two are a Dean of a Moonlit Graveyard entitled Arabella's Last Dance and a strange creature rising up above the sands of a desert, which is simply entitled The Lord Rises. And all, as you look at these paintings, you see there is something deeply upsetting about each of them the more you look at them. And whether it's the little details, when you start to look, angles that don't look right, things that seem to move as you're looking at them. And I need a sanity roll from everyone who's looking at the painting. Meanwhile, Franco, as you open up the cupboard, you can see inside what looks to be a dirty sheet covering an easel with something on it.
A dirty sheet with an easel.
An easel covered over with something like a canvas on an easel covered over with a sheet in the cupboard.
Okay. I'm gonna take a deep breath and take a look.
Okay, as you pull the sheet off, you can see that underneath it is a painting.
Dun dun.
No, it's all about paintings. And you get a glimpse of this painting, and it looks only half finished. It looks like it's still a work in progress. But it looks to appear to show this swamp, but almost like a tropical swampy scene, except most of the plants and the flowers don't look right. You're looking at, there's tree ferns and cycads and strange large flowers, and insects that don't seem the right size. They're too big, far too big. Like a great dragonfly that's like with a wingspan this large, flying over like swampy horsetails and other strange foliage that you don't quite recognize. I don't know how much Franco knows about plants.
I mean, natural world 10.
Yeah.
Not really.
Yeah, it looks to be a swampy scene, but it does almost seem to move. The water seems to be almost rippling as you look at it. And I need a sanity roll from you two. Meanwhile, Morgan and Mortimer, as you look at these paintings, there is definite movement to them. Especially the flames in the goatwood seem to flicker. The visitor's twisted face seems to turn and look at you. The trees in the graveyard sway. And the Dark Lord, something just, a strange figure rising above the desert sands just draws you in your eye. You feel, what's that, the tension of something falling upon you. And wow, that is a lot of fumbles. And Maddie, are you just looking into the flame of the lantern?
No, Maddie is just staring at the floor near her feet, underneath the lantern. I'm assuming it's up on the wall. So listening, but mostly just focusing on being in and near the light, because she is otherwise terrified.
Okay.
And since everybody else has walked around the room, she does not want to move.
Okay. So these paintings, the more you look, they are, whether it's the joint experience of all of them, or the location, the presence, the movement, like coupled with this strange smell, but there's something more deeply disturbing than simply the red pyramid. And at this point, I need a d6 from all those who failed.
What I'd try to do as well, after going round, I'll return to where Maddie is, noticing that she's not leaving the light.
That's 1 point of sanity loss for Morgan and Franco each. You are lucky. And 5 points from Mortimer. I don't think that puts you below your daily limit, does it, Mortimer? Or does it now, actually? Everyone's quite low on the sanity rankings these days.
I'm not sure. It puts me down to what I think the limit is, but it doesn't put me below it.
Okay. I'll say you're fine on that count, but I do need an intelligence roll from you here.
Oh.
If you can fully rationalize away this experience, that this is more than just a painting. Oh no, this is definitely more than just a painting. Roll me a d10, please, Mortimer. You can hear movement now, footsteps on the stairs heading up towards the attic.
Before he's coming in, I'm going to point to graveyard to Mortimer, to the doctor, and I will just say, what was the name of Lord Earl Grey again? His wife.
Arabella.
And I point to the title of the graveyard.
Mortimer, you feel the strength of your legs just fail you. Like, you're not afraid exactly, just you can't. Just, your ability to just moving your legs just fail you. Crumple down to the floor, like on your knees in front of painting.
Probably in front of that painting, as Morgan points out, the name's the same as who was someone who's practically an aunt to me.
Yes. The moonlight shines in the painting as the figures in the paintings loom in closer around you, like staring down at you, crowding in around you. As the door to the attic opens, and Franco.
As we would have heard them coming, I would have put it up and closed the cupboard again. Maybe not locked it, because that might have not been enough time, but at least keep it closed, though, so you don't see that it's been opened.
Yeah. So the door to the attic opens and two figures enter. The first is the recognisable figure of Bertha Shipley. It's hunched over little old lady. The second is this thin, dark-haired man in his late 30s, with these unkempt hair, deep dark shadows under his eyes, and this sweaty, twitchy, nervous manner to him. Hey, Mother says you're here to buy paintings. Did you get a good chance to look around?
I was waiting for some additional light.
Yeah, Mother. A couple more lanterns are brought in and hung up. Meaning that the space is now just a bit gloomy, but not dark.
So I'm more comfortable. I am more willing now to go look at the paintings.
Okay. Give me a sanity roll for that as you're turning to examine these paintings.
That's a fail.
Yeah, so as you step forward to examine the paintings, Bertha leans over to Mortimer and sort of gives him a pat on the shoulder and goes, "Right here. Maddie, roll me 1d6, please."
Yes, it was quite a shock. I recognised the name on this painting. It's reminded me of someone I used to know.
Oh, well, Miles names all the paintings.
It was quite a shock.
Oh, well. Do you want to come downstairs? I can get you a cup of tea or something, perhaps, if you want a bit of a break.
It's okay. No need to trouble yourself.
Well, I'll get you some tea. I'll be back in a minute. She heads off to fetch you some tea. Cure all ills.
As I sort of stand up, because I literally fainted, I'm guessing my knees just buckled in out.
Yeah.
Mr. Shipley, how did you come up with these paintings?
Oh, just imagination, just dreams mostly. Dreams. Nightmares, some of them.
It would seem. What about this one, and I'm going to point to the fire. Do I notice anything different about this one, other than maybe the flames seem to be flickering?
You figures it's not the flame is definitely not green, but you do notice the occasional movement of the fire and the focus almost drawn into this half-formed figure starting to appear in the center of the fire. And as you look at it, it almost becomes clearer. You'll see this horned figure in the center of the flames, almost like goat horns. Don't look for it on the actual picture. I couldn't get it to do that.
Okay. So I rolled a 1 on my d6.
Yes, you only lose 1 point of sanity.
Thank you. Okay. So we were at the exhibit yesterday, and we saw the painting, the Red Pyramid. Is this the heir to it? And I'm going to gesture at the Egyptian one.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I'm planning like a triptych. I haven't quite seen how it ends. Does that make sense? I want to know where the story ends. I have to see it. I've not seen that yet, but maybe soon.
What else have you seen? Have you seen things that you haven't put on paper yet?
A few things. Some things too horrible to paint, or just don't quite. I don't quite lend themselves to art in the same way. You know how it is. Anyway, which one are you interested in buying?
How much for the graveyard?
Graveyard? And he names a fair but slightly steep price for painting.
What was the price?
He once again names a decently fair price. I'm afraid I can't remember my pre-decimal currency well enough to come up with this appropriate price.
Franco will just turn around and cough, being like used to poor people pricing, and paintings usually go for way more.
Yes. To Franco, this sounds like an extortionate amount of money.
Yeah.
Before I'll tell you to back this one up. Have you been doing these dreams for a long time now? Because
No, I had a very big break a few months back. Just a moment of enlightenment. Yeah.
Honest to see.
Give me a psychology roll. The first thing you're getting is that he is deeply, deeply afraid of something. What you're getting off this man is just palpable terror. He keeps glancing to the door. He keeps looking around, and you can tell that he is absolutely terrified of something. And with an extreme success, you can read enough to get that whatever he's terrified, it's Bertha.
It's Bertha that he's terrified.
Like the way he kept looking at the door, and the way he acted differently when she was there and when she left. For some reason, he is deeply afraid of her. And he's definitely hiding stuff. He is lying, but it also doesn't seem to be making a lot of sense. You're not sure if he's deliberately lying or if he's lying to himself. You get the idea of a man who is very much on the brink here. He is like worn down by fear. Right. So, I can pack it up for you.
yes, please do.
Yes,
I like this one.
I've got some paper around here somewhere. And he starts rummaging around. You hear the footsteps back on the stairs again.
Is there they were to get you the money by transfer to a certain bank you prefer for the payment?
Cash.
Okay, I'll bring it.
You don't have the money?
And then I'll pick it up. Oh yes, I have it. And I'll give it to him.
Give me a credit rating roll. Let's see if you've got enough cash on you to pull off this kind of transaction. Yeah, it's gonna sort of eaten your whole cash for the day, but like you've brought a few extra funds with you for these sort of things. But yeah, this is not an easy purchase. This is quite a significant purchase, but you can do it. As you're handing over the cash, Bertha re-enters, holding a tea tray with some cups for everyone. Oh, sold a painting already. Let me just pop that down on the table. I'll take that. Thank you. I want tea for everyone. You look like you're feeling a bit better. Here you go. Here you go. Tea for you, miss.
Oh, I appreciate it, but no, thank you. I'm enthralled actually by this piece, and she's gesturing at the goatwood.
Oh, the goatwood. One of Miles's early ones. I like the contrast, but I'm no artist. I just make the tea. Tea? She offers tea to Morgan.
Oh, thank you. But
Here you go.
yes, your son is quite. You can be proud of him. He has some talent.
I'm very proud. Tea for you, Maddie? Hands it over to Franco.
Sure, I would keep an eye on her since the boy's afraid of her. I'm trying to discern if there's something wrong with her, especially since she's got these dreams that might or might not be dreams. Who knows?
All right, make me spot hidden, Franco, because you've got a solid reason to suspect something's wrong. Yeah. All right. So Miles is rummaging around looking for some paper. Bertha sort of looking like pointing to the goatwood painting. What you notice is the smell, the source of the smell, Franco, and you start to have a little flashback to other little old ladies, less pleasant ones. But the cogs sort of come together in your mind, and you place the smell rolling off Bertha as reptilian.
Oh.
Here you go. Nice and tied up. Pleasure doing business.
I would step
Anything
back.
you want to buy, or?
I would step back slowly next to Morgan, look at one of the pictures demonstratively and just whisper, "Snake lady."
Mr. Shipley,
Yeah.
I think if you do not mind holding on to it for another couple of days, I need to discuss with my housekeeper where I might be able to put this one. And I gesture at the goatwood.
Yeah, I can hold on to it. I don't get that many customers. Miles, dear, we never know. We might sell it. Yeah, can't make any promises, but I'll try and hold on to it.
Do you know if this one, and she gestures at the Egyptian themed one, is already marked for purchasing, or?
I had a bit of interest in that from Leighton. He wanted to go with the other one, but he's also interested in the third one when I get it done.
Okay. Do you have any stories behind these paintings that you might be wanting to express?
About which one?
Well, this one, and she gestures at the blonde woman in the water.
Oh, that one, came to me in a dream. She's making an offering to the river. I think it wasn't clear, or the offering, or she is the offering. I don't know. There were cloaked figures on the bank. It's little fragments. There's fire, a baby.
Okay.
Lots of fire, but not the painting. That's out of. It's sometimes when I paint something, other things come with it, and other thoughts, other dreams.
How are you about commissioning?
I don't really do much commissions these days. I just kind of paint what comes to me, but
well, I quite am enjoying how you're painting here, and I was wondering if I were to invite you to my home, would you be able to maybe think of something that we could have on display?
I don't really get out these days. Not often, at least. No.
Well, I think I like this one, but I don't know if it would be quite a centerpiece, and I am quite interested in your art style. So I would appreciate it if you would come over and maybe we can discuss a commission, maybe show you the space where we would have it as the centerpiece.
No.
Oh. Maybe if your mother will come with you.
Oh, maybe. He doesn't like getting outside. He gets a little nervous. The doctor says he's taking a tonic for his nerves. But maybe on a good day you could take a trip over. What's your address, dear?
I will give the address.
Oh, thank you.
We're over on Grosvenor Square.
Very nice.
Well, I do believe that we have to leave. I have to, as I said, speak with my housekeeper about where we might be able to place this painting. And then in about 2 days' time, I'll come back and purchase it.
Oh, that sounds excellent, dear. Oh, yes. Now, do you know how I'm getting this one down the stairs? Oh, well, I suppose the strapping young gentlemen like yourselves should be fine with it, right? She nods to Morgan and his newly purchased painting.
Yeah, don't worry. I can handle myself.
Right, well, it was a pleasure doing business. It was lovely. Oh, you didn't drink your tea.
No, I'm sorry. I was very
Do you want some more sugar
distracted.
for it?
Huh?
Do you need some more sugar for it?
Oh no, it's fine. I was just distracted with the art and all the discussions around. But yeah, if we're gonna leave, thank you anyway, and I'll just put it on the tableau again.
I'll probably return it as well. I'm not, I'd say, comfortable drinking tea in residences that aren't that well, because you don't actually know the quality of the milk. It's slightly off.
To remind you, this house smells very bad.
That's what I'd be concerned of, things like milk being off and not being so healthy, so I'd probably return it as well.
She looks
I'm feeling much better.
greatly offended.
I'm feeling much better, thank you.
Oh, good. Well, as Bertha kind of starts edging you towards the door, like
Is there anything unusual in this room? Now that it's better lit.
I mean, the most unusual thing, the most unusual thing is how dark it is. This was clearly built as an artist's garret. You can see it's got these big skylight windows that have then been painted over with thick black paint. So this was a room designed to get a lot of north-facing light.
Yeah,
it's now being blocked out.
That is rather strange, but I won't mention it. I'll probably start to make my way out with Maddie, because I believe Maddie has grabbed my arm, and I'll start heading down the stairs.
I'll follow right behind.
You follow behind out of this dingy, dark, and very smelly house into the rather pleasant fresh air of a summer's day. Even the smell from the river isn't as bad as the smell from that house. And yeah, you step out onto the street.
While we are leaving,
yes,
I would like to see if there are any stones around the house. A little stones like we brought back from the other mansion.
Make me a spot hidden. No stones, no. But as you're on the way out, you see sort of in amongst the paints and the paint stuff on the painting table as you're leaving the garret, just the very edge of a bit of paper with some writing on, and whatever language it's written on looks very much like the symbols you saw on the stones. You don't know what the language is, but the shape of the characters looks very much the same.
And I will pocket it, and I will just take my painting and bring it back to the carriage.
Okay. So, pocket the paperwork. You head back to the carriage. You're out. And away from the paintings, you feel this sense of relief. Mortimer especially. Like, once you're away. Although you've still got one of them with you. She's leaving you, you've still got one of them. Perhaps not the most unsettling of them, but you still know it's there.
It's covered up, luckily. Wrapped up.
So once we're in the carriage, I would tell them the old lady is a snake person. The boy was scared shitless. And she smelled like snake.
Like the old lady from the
yeah.
The stone you brought back.
Yeah.
Okay. There was not a stone like that, but on there were markings, same kind of markings on the wall. When we got out, I could manage to see some of these markings on the walls when we got out.
Okay.
So it looks like he's been held captive there, perhaps, to do the paintings? It was strange that she had the key to the attic and he didn't. Because normally an artist would be the person who'd have the key to their studio. I just thought it a bit strange because
there were a lot of things that were strange.
She let us in the room before her son, who was the artist, had awoken, and it was she who had the key for the studio. So
I mean, they could both have a key, technically.
They could both, but yeah, both yourselves, Morgan and Franco, you encountered that snake person. So this person, you believe, was one of them?
I mean, I was noticing that the boy was scared, really, really scared, and so I, kept looking at her, and she, the way they move and the way she smelled.
And he was scared to leave as well.
Yeah. I'm not sure why though, because right here they're on top of each other, basically.
I know why.
Why?
Have you seen how the people were scared the last time we helped somebody get away from a snake person? All the people working there were just scared. Just one of the hired people just left the house because she was scared. Here he's alone. He's with one person. I'm sure he knows about it. What kind of person she is? And he's trapped. So yes, he's scared. And he can be.
I mean, yeah, we know that he's scared, but that's not explaining why he wants to stay with her.
He doesn't have a choice.
He's too scared of her.
If the old lady had her way with the Earl, he would be as trapped as this little poor fellow would be. You see? He's just trapped. He can't get away.
So basically, you're saying we need to do your thing to get him out of there?
I think if we want him to get out of there, yeah, we don't have a choice. But
I mean, maybe we know we can be a bit more prepared this time around. We actually know what we're encountering, right? Because the last time that was more like a surprise, us just stumbling into it.
what do you think? I asked her to come with him if he come visit us.
I mean, if they're on our turf, it's getting a little bit easier to deal with stuff.
Just got something in my mind. And I think that's maybe one of the reasons he got trapped. The Earl had some money problems. Because of his father, he owned some money to people, and the old lady who helped him and that I killed, proposed him money in exchange to a place to live.
Yeah.
Maybe he was struggling with his art, and she offered him to help with inspiration.
His dreams.
He accepts in a place. He accepts, and she asked maybe to have a place to stay, a refuge,
Fair.
And before he could help it was too late. She was there, and he was trapped. Maybe we don't know what the stones. We don't know what they were for. Maybe it is already too late for him. Maybe he's already trapped because of the markings I saw on the walls. Maybe the ritual is already.
The markings weren't on the walls. They were on a piece of paper on the table.
On a piece of paper, yeah. Maybe the ritual is already done here. We don't know that.
I mean, did you take the piece of paper, or is it still up there?
Oh, it's still up there.
No.
You remember last time we touched the rock? I didn't want
Fair.
to show anything like that here.
Do you know what I find peculiar? And this is dating back some 5 or more years. It seems as if his paintings documented something that our society has dealt with.
What do you
Graveyard?
think? Yeah, what do you think are about the graveyard?
I mean, except for the graveyard, which else? What are the others doing?
The offering? Something to do with
the Bellefonts.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that was
Definitely.
which
Pre my time.
yes, the fire, though that part is ever so slightly wrong, it reminds me of the incidents with the green fire that was happening.
I may be wrong, but the visitor made me think about the Black Pharaoh and the cult we dismantled.
Or the visitor could have been that creature that was hopping through bodies.
As well, yeah. As well.
Well, then what about the one with the creature
The Lord
and the
Rises?
yes, that one.
I don't think we have ever seen such a massive creature anywhere. I would be really worried if we did.
The visitor has something to do with the cube because he was holding something.
Yeah.
And the Lord Rises is the creature we met when we with the Black Pharaoh.
I think that it is what the Black Pharaoh is. Because the thing we encountered was like a winged serpent, I think, in the altar room.
True.
And we don't actually know what the Black Pharaoh looks like. So I'm assuming it's black, but that's as much as I know about it.
Well,
So
then
it
that
could be-
doesn't explain the Red Pyramid, or what was the other one? I didn't read the name of that one.
The Pharaoh's Return, I think it was. Does the society, or before us, the people who were working for the society before us, had some meddling in Egypt?
Not that I'm aware of.
But he hasn't done the final picture of that series.
No, so that is yet
Maybe
to
to
be
come.
determined.
But it does seem as if it's a timeline of events that we are aware of, or know of at least. But so what is the plan? We probably need to find out more about these serpent people. If we can
Mhm.
do some research on that, so we know at least something, because I know nothing about these. And I feel it's probably going to be an important thing to try to free him from whatever's going on. The artist, that is, Miles. If he is being held captive, I think these paintings could do a lot of damage. They seem quite dangerous. It certainly affected me.
I'm thinking whether I should, come back at night and take the piece of paper with the writing on it.
I would suggest not.
I think it would be too dangerous to go on your own.
One, to go on your own, but also, did you not see that every window was barred and locked when we arrived?
I mean, yeah, I did.
I'm just wondering whether Miles is held captive in a cell or something in the property.
Might be.
Maybe can confront her if we can have her visit us.
Well, I did give them 2 days before I would come back for the painting.
What you
Give me 2 days, and I will do some specific research, and maybe we can find more information on her.
Yes, definitely. I'll have a look as well into what I can find out, but I don't think I'll find as a great deal. But Franco, it might be worth you perhaps observing the property for a day, discreetly, to see who comes and goes. I suspect you're not going to see anything. Don't try to get into the property. I'm just wondering whether the old lady leaves at any point during the day.
That sounds like a plan. And I'm just getting out right there, and walk my way back into the and try to find a place where I can,
A tree.
Okay.
tree.
There's a sad lack of trees in that street in Chelsea.
Yeah,
But-
I'm probably thinking maybe a rooftop or something.
Okay. So as Franco prepares to do reconnaissance, as others prepare to do research, I think that is probably a good point to leave things off for tonight. As we're back in a roll, and already sanity has been lost, bouts of madness has been had, but nothing's burnt down, so I consider this a great improvement.